lovely people, today I'm bringing you an art tutorial using block printing ink to give a nice kind of rough and textured quality to your paintings. It kind of makes it look like old newspaper. So it's kind of an unconventional way of using block printing ink. It's a monoprint, but it's very freehand. So you will need some block printing ink, and I'd recommend using the real thing because paint is a little bit more runny. This has got a really tacky quality, which is the thing that brings the nice textured quality to your painting. The other thing you're going to need is just paint, and I reckon that if you get good quality paint, it really pays off. It's a lot more opaque and the colours are richer, especially with acrylics. But I used a little bit of metallic in this one. I think that kind of goes well. So the Jo Sonja brand, they're folk art paints, and they've got some really nice metallic paint colours. The other thing you're going to need, this is the one that I finished in the tutorial. I just actually ended up using cartridge paper, so it's quite thin, but it's not too thin. You can see my drawing on the back. And if the print doesn't work and you want to make multiple prints, you can just use that drawing and go over it again with a different colour pencil so that you can scratch in the image onto your paper. If that will make sense when you see the tutorial. That said, and I've got a roller, so I just use a cheap roller. These are very foamy. They're not the proper ones that you use for printmaking. And just get anything that's a smooth surface. So I had an old sheet of glass that broke, so I had to find something else to use, and I found a whiteboard that we use for homeschooling once upon a day, and it's massive, but it means that it can take really big bits of paper, and I can even transpose it onto canvas or whatever. So this is actually a great thing to use. So anything like that will work. Mix it up, experiment, enjoy, and I hope you enjoy the tutorial. I'll just explain as we go and have a look at the progress of the artwork. Bye! Here I'm just inking up the board, the base, and it's already inked because I just used it for another project. So I'm actually just doing an extra one just for the fun of it, so that's why it's freehand, but you can do your drawing beforehand and then just trace over it with a different coloured pencil, and you can get as many prints as you want, so it's very forgiving. So you can see here it's got a very inky kind of textural quality, so I'm going to retain some of those dark lines. I think that's sort of key. So it's not meant to be perfect. It's very rough. It's very sort of, a lot of different lines and textures in here with the black. I think the black is the thing that really makes these kind of drawings. And the paint is quite opaque. So once again, that's very easy to use, but it's almost like colouring in, because you want to keep some of those lines by the end of the drawing. So here I've just mixed up a really nice ultramarine kind of French blue. I've used magenta and ultramarine, and trying to work with quite a limited palette. You can't really see it there because my workbench is so messy. Using a bit of opposite colours with the orange and the blue, and starting to put a bit of metallic in it as well in the hair. The beauty about this is you can go over some of the block printing lines if you want to and change it a little bit. And I didn't mention, but you can also use proper lithograph paper, which is very thin, and that gives a different sort of textural quality again. But I just encourage you to experiment with all sorts of papers, and I've even tried to use watercolors, and that's actually been quite successful as well, using watercolor paint. Adding the finishing touches in this one. So I felt like it needed clouds, and I felt like it needed just brightening up a little bit in the clothes of the girl. And I'm also going to go over the details with black as well. Just putting in some expressive kind of lines just to add interest. I think it makes such a big difference in the overall the picture. Your brush strokes want to be nice and expressive, and just adds a bit of interest. You can even use a black marker for these last little details with the just fine-tuning the lines, because some lines you might want to emphasize, and you can use a art liner or a fine liner to do that as well. I chose to use just dark paint, black paint. So there it is, my Gypsy Girl with flowers using block printing ink and acrylic paint. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope this has encouraged you to keep creating and experimenting with your art. And until next time, God bless. Bye.